Am I the a-hole for being surly, rude, and mean at the wedding and leaving early? Plus updates. Original post. I was asked to be a member of the wedding party. Despite this, I was the only person, not only the wedding party, but also at the ceremony, who wasn't allowed to have a +1. This was an outdoor wedding with limited seating, and these people don't give a crap about COVID, so it wasn't about that. I was told it was because my relationship wasn't serious enough despite us being together for a year, that only engaged or married couples were invited, and that they didn't want some random guy in their wedding pictures who I might not even be with later in the future. They don't want to have to look at some random guy in their pictures even though he wouldn't have been in any of the post pictures at all. Maybe just in the background of crowd shots. There have been zero conflicts between them and my boyfriend. And he's a nice and mild-mannered guy who gets along with everyone, so I don't think it was about him personally. I get to the ceremony and find out that literally everyone else has +1. Not just married couples, but there are couples there who have been dating for less time than me. This is when I started feeling surly. I smiled and played my part during the ceremony, but inside I was very surly and angry. We then got to the reception, which had way more people than the ceremony. This is where all the more distant friends were invited, and everyone there had +1. I was literally placed at a table as the one single person, and everyone else at the table was a couple. Some at the table were other members of the wedding party, but others were random distant acquaintances. People started asking me where my boyfriend was, and I said I was told he wasn't invited. They asked why, and I said I had no idea why. This is when I started letting my surliness show and started acting rude and mean, because I was humiliated. And then I was brought into conversation with the couple's male friend Dean. I was previously told that Dean has a crush on me, and I made it clear I wouldn't be interested even if I were single. Even after that, they kept trying to message me and I ignored him. But now the people who brought me into conversation with Dean were like standing around staring at us and giggling behind their hands, like they thought they were Cupid matchmakers. Dean was absolutely a participant in this. I was meaner to Dean than I've ever been to anyone in my entire life. I was as fully rude as I've ever wanted to be when being the target of someone's romantic interest unwantedly. It's true I don't really know if I was being set up, but I was already furious before that happened. Everyone was silent and awkward. I went back and finished my meal, and as soon as I was done, picked up my purse and left and went straight to my boyfriend's house, skipping most of the reception, cake cutting, speeches, and everything. I'm now being told by the couple that they're hurt and confused why I left so early. I haven't replied. Edit. I didn't want to describe the conversation because people would probably think really badly of me if they saw how horrible I really acted. But screw it. This was toward the end of the meal and some people are still eating and some people are just partying, standing and talking, circulating around the room. I was eating and someone comes over to me goes, "Hey, could you come over here for a second? Someone has a question for you." Already I was suspicious because that was a scenario straight out of the second grade lunchroom. But fine, whatever, maybe it has to do with my bridal party stuff. So I come over and who is standing there but Dean, looking really smug, and a few other people are standing there who are already giggling. So I already start feeling angry. Because again, this is reminding me of the second grade lunchroom scenario, and I'm already imagining how it's going to go. He actually started out with, "Hey beautiful," and I went, "What do you want?" in an angry tone. I think he sensed that this wasn't going to go like what he had in his mind, but he continued what he obviously planned out. So he said, "I just wanted to ask you something," and I said, "What?" He went, "There is something wrong with my phone. Can you help me fix it?" I said, "I don't know anything about phones. Sorry, can't help you," and turned around to go back. And he went, No. What's wrong with my phone is that it doesn't have your number in it." And I just went off, because I already made it clear I was not into whatever this was, and I already turned to leave. But he interrupted me leaving and kept going despite it all. I was furious because I was already angry, plus he wasn't paying attention to how I felt or caring about it. So I felt like he deserved what I was going to give to him. I raised my voice and said, "Dean, F off and leave me alone. No, you can't have my freaking number. No, I don't want to go out with you. I don't want to talk to you. I'm not attracted to you. I don't want anything to do with you. You are not interesting or attractive to me at all. I want you to leave me the heck alone. He was looking down during all of this and not at me. And I said, I want you to look at me and agree you're going to leave me alone from now on. Yes or no? And he said yes, and I said, look at me and say yes. So he did. So I turned around and left him alone after that. I know I humiliated him and I did it on purpose. I had to admit that, but it's true. Even though I raised my voice, it was loud in the room, so only the people standing nearby and one unrelated table nearby heard it. Now for the top comments before reading the little update. Wow. There are layers to this like a freaking parfait made entirely of dog crap in different stages of decomposition, and it just kept getting worse. From the title, I thought you were the a-hole. Then it was like, okay, maybe it's everyone sucks here. Then it got to not the a-hole and kept on trucking into how the newlyweds and Dean are huge a-holes and just kept on going. Honestly, you are absolutely not the a-hole, and in fact should be commended and not engaging in some fully warranted a-hole behavior of your own. Because I absolutely do not consider rudely rejecting Dean's advances to be a-hole behavior when he is complicit in his setup attempt from hell. I think at the very least you would have been completely justified in not only leaving early, but taking your wedding gift with you because these people are not your friends. I'm still so angry about the entire thing. I wish I had told them to go screw themselves the minute they called my boyfriend some guy I might not even be with in the future. My relationship is one of the most important things in my life, and my boyfriend is precious to me. You need to cut them out immediately. They have already proven they don't care about your feelings by ignoring the fact you previously said you do not want to date this dude. If he contacts you again, get a restraining order because this is some next level diabolical manipulation, and I GTFO this environment ASAP. Which I would find absolutely hilarious, considering they don't want some random guy in their photos when they look at them later in life, but now have to look back at photos with some random girl they're not friends with anymore. LMAO. Not stay home. If you were seriously singled out like that as the only major exception by someone, either the wedding couple or anyone in the wedding party, I probably would have been more angry. Honestly, I was the most mad about how they disrespected my boyfriend in the relationship, calling him some random guy and saying I might not be with him in the future. Like, what the heck kind of way is that to talk about my relationship that's extremely important to me? Not stay home. You were treated blatantly and fairly, and it appears that there was an ulterior motive. You'd be justified if you want no contact with everybody involved in this fiasco. Now for the update. Alright, after making this post, I emailed them back, and I started small just to see what they would say. All I said to start it off was, I was uncomfortable because I was the only one without a +1 after being told nobody but engaged or married couples would have them. Multiple people at the reception started repeatedly asking me where my boyfriend was, and I was getting more and more humiliated, especially since I was seated with 2 colleagues and their Tinder boyfriends. It was humiliating to be the only one singled out, and I was extremely upset. Here's the reply I quickly got. We just meant no +1s for the ceremony. It was perfectly fine for you to bring your boyfriend to the reception, and that's what we assumed you were going to do. That's what we always planned for. The reception being much larger and looser. We never heard from you about bringing your boyfriend to the reception, so we didn't plan for it, but it always would have been fine. This reply is some BS. That was never, ever said to me at all or presented as an option. I would have actually been fine with that as a compromise. Yes, this is a toilet paper answer. She's just trying to cover her butt. Was there an empty seat next to you? Nope. What kind of wedding doesn't account for everyone at the ceremony and the reception? She's been caught out and is lying. It's the weirdest thing I've ever heard. You're right, it's BS. Call it out. If that is the case, why was this option not brought up when I asked in person why I could not bring boyfriend? If you expected him, why did you not inquire as to why he did not RSVP? Why didn't you ask me what his meal choice was? You know very well you went out of your way to make sure he did not attend a reception with me, and you scrambling to come up with excuses at this point is incredibly weak. Even with all of that, I would have and plan to let it go if groom's friends, Dina's sneakers, person that brought you to the table, hadn't planned out a scheme to humiliate me in front of their entire table as a way of forcing me into accepting a date with a drunk and exceptionally creepy Dean. Even as I tried to politely walk away, he continued shouting pickup lines at me until I'd had enough. I don't know anyone else's names, but be sure to call them out specifically for their compliance. It is gaslighting, right? That is not the reply I expected, and it made me second-guess myself. Like, wait, did they say something about bringing him to the reception? But no, they didn't. If they were expecting you to bring him to the reception, there would have been a seat for him and presumably would have needed food preferences. Yeah, it seems like they were sort of framing it as blaming me, saying that they expected him to come at first, but because they never heard anything from me, they didn't go ahead and plan for him. Now for the last story. Update. Am I the a-hole for not wanting to pay for professional hair, makeup, new shoes, and stay in an expensive Airbnb for my friend's out-of-town wedding? Original post. Hi all. My 28 female friend, 30 female, let's call her Brooke, is getting married to her long-distance boyfriend, 28 male, for 6 months. For background, I live in a city about a 16-hour drive away from where Brooke lives. However, the groom also lives in a different city from both myself and the bride, somewhere in between both of us. She will be getting married on her groom's farm in a different state about 6 hours away from me. A couple of days later, all hell breaks loose when Brooke's first list of requirements emerge in the group chat. 1. Makeup and hair must be professionally done and paid for by bridesmaid, $200 for both. 2. We must purchase nude flats and we may not wear heels, around $30 to $50, as she is worried she and her groom will look shorter than us. 3. We must wear the jewelry of her choice. To be fair to her, she said this would be a barred gift to us once she decides what look she is going for. 4. Nails must be bare or in the mauve color she has selected for her dress. 5. The dress must be from the local boutique, 16 hours drive or a 3-hour plane flight away from me, and must be floor length with straps. The boutique doesn't ship, but my sister is picking it up, trying it on, and sending pictures. I texted her explaining I'm traveling for the wedding and I'm happy to pay the accommodation, airfare, and for the dress, but that if she was requiring professional makeup and specific non-heeled shoes, that she should pay for the extra things she wants. I explained that I am happy to pay for the usual things, but that my budget wouldn't allow for professional hair and makeup and new shoes. She said she would speak to her groom about allowing me to stay on the farm property, but that the makeup was non-negotiable. Fast forward again today. Brooke texts me and says she will have to renege on the offer she made to me to let me stay in the farmhouse on the night after the wedding. She reserved an Airbnb in the city, $200 a night, for the wedding party. However, she says she will only be paying for the night prior to the wedding. Brooke tells me that she thinks I should stay in the Airbnb she booked, since there is a 2-night minimum and she would like the money back. I politely declined and said I would try to find accommodations in the city for the night after the wedding, since there are some reasonable places to stay. I asked if there would be anyone to transport me back to the city since no cabs or public transportation will go there. Brooke says she will not arrange transportation for me unless I stay in the $200 Airbnb and pay her back for the cost of it. She said I may bring a tent or have to figure it out myself. I'm more than willing to pay for the dress, transportation, etc. The cost of being in her wedding right now is $1,256, including all travel expenses, dress, and extras she's asked for. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments before reading the update. Not the a-hole. Are you absolutely sure even going is worth it? I'm leaning really hard towards noping right out of this whole bizarre event. Not the a-hole. And all of this for a 6-month-old relationship. Brides have some of the most extreme cases of delusion/entitlement I've ever seen. Long distance at that. Not the a-hole. As someone planning a wedding myself, I would never demand my bridesmaid spend this much on something this specific. She should be footing that bill. I wouldn't bother going to a wedding where I'd have to spend $1,300 just for the wedding. I asked my girls to buy a navy dress on Amazon for $35 and show up. They looked beautiful, and I was giving them gifts. I don't understand the entitlement. I hope Opie knows she's not the a-hole, and I hope she doesn't waste her time and money to fulfill her friend's Instagram photo wishes. This is super considerate. I know the dress and looking presentable is part of it, so that makes sense to me. But it seems so focused on what I look like and how much I'm spending, and not at all in just being there to support her for her big day and having a good time. I do want to see her get married, but it seems like she wants me there for the Insta and that sweet, sweet purple aesthetic. Not stay home. You can't afford what you can afford and have been very upfront. Off topic, but long-distance fiancé of 6 months and groom's farm? Please let this be an example of people who met in farmersonly.com. Haha, I wish. They did meet online, but not Farmers Only. Let's just say this may be a scene out of Deliverance. It's bring your own bottle and cake will only be served to the groom and bride since it's too expensive. And now for the update. Hi again. Since one user said they would summon an internet ghost to hunt me if I was a bridesmaid in this wedding, here's an unsolicited update. After taking a day or two to think it through, I texted my friend and explained to her the following. Summarized. I think she's a great friend and we have a lot of great memories together. I was excited to make a new one on her big day. That being said, I couldn't afford the expenses she required, such as professional hair, makeup, specific shoes, and a chosen Airbnb. I explained that the $200 it would cost to attend is over my budget, and I simply could not afford the things she is asking for. I don't want to put her in a position where she would be compromising on things she wanted to accommodate my budget. So the best thing for me to do was to bow out of being a bridesmaid right now, so she can have ample time to find a replacement. I also explained that I had some concerns with how I was going to get off the farm after the night of the wedding, since she said she would only offer transport if I stayed in the shared $200 Airbnb. She was unsure who else would be staying there. I said I have to be in court for a trial 2 days after the wedding, and while I'm usually very flexible, I couldn't leave that part to chance since my career is important to me. Brooke responded with the following, summarized. She has been very busy planning her move, doing report cards, she's a teacher, and planning the wedding. She felt that since I'm a lawyer, I should be able to afford everything she's asking for. For reference, I'm a very new government lawyer and have massive student debt. And says she deserves a bridesmaid who will meet her expectations and be able to support her. I am not sure how to respond to her, or if I will, but I do think I dodged a bullet. Or at least a trip to Crazy Town. Thank you so much to all of you who convinced me to not attend this disaster. You have saved me $1,200 in 6 months of horror.
Update. Am I the a-hole for refusing to do something special on my wedding day for my sister because she refused to do something for me at hers? Original post. I, 30 female, I'm getting married this Sunday, and my sister Jessica, 28 female, got married 2 years ago. A couple of weeks before her wedding, my ex left me for another woman, and it was devastating because I thought that he was going to propose soon. At my sister's wedding, I asked her if she could throw the bouquet to me as to wish me luck, but she refused and said that she didn't want to damage it. I asked her to lend it to me for a couple of pics instead, and she refused that too. I said nothing more and I didn't bring it up again until now. Okay, my sister is pregnant and wants to announce it at my wedding. She asked, and I said absolutely not. When she asked why, I told her that 1. The wedding is for my fiancé and I, and 2, she didn't do what I asked her to do at her wedding, so why would I do what she asks in mine? She's mad and says that I'm being ridiculous. Our mother says that I'm being childish. Am I the a-hole? Edit. Tomorrow is the wedding, and my sister is currently not talking to me, and neither is my mother. I cannot uninvite them, but I'm very concerned. Now for the top comments before reading the aftermath. Not the a-hole for not wanting a pregnancy announcement at your wedding, but I guarantee she's going to make one. Definitely. I don't understand why this has become such a thing. I see so many Reddit posts about people taking over other people's special day with proposals and pregnancy announcements. Please, for the love of God, people, stop doing this. It's okay to not be the center of attention all the time and to let people have their moments. We all need some sunshine. Drop a note to the MC or the DJ to mute the mic if sister or mom wants to start talking about the pregnancy. That won't work and will put even more attention to them. They will find a way to make their announcement, even without a mic. If people note that OP is trying to block their announcement, it will be taken against her. She will be deemed the villain just for not wanting other to take the spot at her own wedding. I have seen this many times. Pregnant woman trumps bride. Only option is preemptive measures. I suggested earlier, the best way to do preemptive measures is to send an email to all the guests attending the wedding with a beautiful congratulation message to her sister for her pregnancy, way before the wedding date. You can absolutely guarantee she or your mother will announce it at your wedding anyway. Yeah, I think that too. Time to let it slip when talking to your most gossipy family member OP. Prevention is better than cure. Now for the update. Hi everyone, just here to give you an update. First of all, thank you so much for all the advice and support. I wanted to clarify a couple of things. I wanted a photo with a bouquet for myself. My ex wouldn't have seen it anyway, as I go strictly no contact after breakups. Some people were also concerned that I expected her photographer to take pictures of me for free. That wasn't the case. Her wedding was very low cost, and I was actually the photographer, so I just meant I wanted to take a selfie. Now for the update. I had a talk with my mother and sister beforehand and clearly told them that if either of them announced the pregnancy or made it obvious in any way, I would go no contact with them for good. They either didn't believe me or didn't care. My wedding was also low cost. On my side, the only family attending were my mom, stepdad, uncle, sister, and brother-in-law. My now husband only had his mother there. The rest of the guests were 5 friends we both invited. There were no speeches or anything formal planned. The ceremony went smoothly, and we moved to the reception area. As soon as we sat down, my sister said she had something to share. I looked at her and said, "No, you don't." It was awkward, since most people there had no idea what was going on. In my country, wedding gifts are usually given after the cake. Well, my mother handed my sister her gift and said, "The new mom also deserves some recognition." That was it for me. My sister started crying happy tears and even had the audacity to try to hug me. I stepped aside and told both of them that the celebration was over for them. They left because my stepdad and brother-in-law finally realized I wasn't joking. I haven't responded to any of their calls or messages. I'm done. Not the a-hole. They asked, you said no. That should have been the end of it. But they were hell-bent on announcing it and stealing your day. They could have announced it the day before, the day after, but no, they went against your expressed wishes and just had to announce it during your wedding celebrations. They think that the world is their stage, and they deserve the spotlight to be on them at all times, and can't imagine other people being actually real and having their own lives that exist outside of their scripted universe. You are right to drop the rope and move on without them. Exactly. They made it clear they saw her wedding as just another stage for their own moment. Opie gave a clear boundary. They chose to ignore it. Actions meet consequences. So, let me get this straight. There were only 11 guests at your wedding, and 6 of them had nothing to do with your sister. And of the remaining 5, 3 already knew. Sister, mom, and brother-in-law. So the announcement was just for your uncle and stepfather? Why was it so important to announce it at the wedding then? I don't understand. Not the a-hole. Stepdad already knew. My uncle didn't. But my uncle didn't like what his sister, my mother, and niece did. Ooh, wow. The level of disrespect. I bet the sister is the golden child and the mother is an entitled Karen. Do not let them back into your life, because every future milestone, yours and your children's, will be stolen. And do not let them manipulate you with a sister's child, saying he or she is innocent, deserves an aunt, or any of that BS. If you do, they'll suck you back in, and you'll be stuck in the same loop. Good luck. I hope you're having your honeymoon soon. Most important comment in the comment section. After Opie gets back from that honeymoon, I hope they get to see this. I read it. No honeymoon yet, so I am reading the comments. Why were they so dead set on announcing the pregnancy to your friends? If your extended family were there, they'd have the excuse that all the family was conveniently gathered. But in this case, their only audience was a group of people who just won't care that a man banged his wife and successfully impregnated her. I read another story on here where the wedding was mostly friends and not family, and the bride's friends started booing the sister when she announced her pregnancy. The bride told her friends ahead of time, and they took it upon themselves to ruin it on her behalf. Next story. Am I the a-hole for agreeing with my niece being booed at her sister's wedding and then later putting her in check? I have 2 nieces, and one recently got married. The other one is pregnant with her first child. At the reception, she used her toast time to announce it. My niece is selfish like that and has always stolen the spotlight. She always gotten away with it though because she was the favorite. Well, she didn't get away with it this day. The groom's family and friends immediately booed her loudly. The best man, groom's brother, said on the mic how dare she use his brother's wedding to announce that, and this day is not about you. The booing changed to applause, and not just from his family and friends. I clapped too. My selfish niece and her husband left out of embarrassment. I went to the bride to check on her and hug her. That's when I found out my niece asked the bride for permission to announce it weeks ago because it's practical since the whole family will be there, but the bride said no. She wanted that day to be about her and her husband. This made me very glad I clapped. Later on, selfish niece sent me a text blasting me for clapping while she was being humiliated. I ignored it. She called me the next day and blasted me, but this time I told her she deserved it. I told her I knew her sister asked her not to announce anything, but you had to make it about you like always. Then she had the nerve to tell me she's always been your favorite niece, and while that's true, that pushed me over the edge. I told her she, the bride, had to be someone's favorite since you held that title with both of your parents. Unlike you, she has a kind and selfless spirit that she'll pass on to her first child. Then I told her I don't want to hear from you until you grow the heck up and apologize to your sister. Then I hung up. Now I'm all kinds of a-holes to my sister, their mom, and other family members for clapping, and my words over the phone. I don't regret the clapping, but did I go too far over the phone? Not the a-hole, but now I'm wondering if the bride had a feeling her sister would make the announcement anyway, and suggested the booing to her new in-laws and hubby's friends. I think she told her then fiancé about it, but I doubt she planted suggestions. She's not mean like that. Honestly, she got what she deserved. She asked the bride if she could announce it. Bride said no. She did it anyway, and everyone there booed her. Good for humbling her, because your niece needed it. She tried to hijack a wedding just for attention. She got her attention. I think she got all the attention she could handle. True, LOL. She technically got what she wanted. She's just upset it wasn't the kind she was hoping for. Not the a-hole. More people should be like the groom's family and friends, and boo anyone who tries to hijack other people's special moments. You're a good aunt contrary to what those awful people say. I've read a million of these. My sister announced her pregnancy or engagement at my wedding, and this is the first I've heard of people booing. We need to make this a thing. We need to see videos of people booing entitled a-holes who hijack other people's celebrations. We need a hashtag where I can go watch hours of jerks getting told off by the entire wedding party. Hashtag normalize booing. Next story. Am I the a-hole for not offering to drive my daughter to and from my ex-husband's wedding events? I, 39 female, share custody of my 11-year-old daughter with my ex-husband. We've been divorced for several years, and it's been a high-conflict co-parenting situation. I have spent years in trauma therapy to recover from his emotional abuse, as well as issues with his father, who has a history of alcoholism and abusive behavior. For that reason, I avoid any interaction with his family for my own safety and mental health. My ex is getting married soon, and the wedding weekend falls on my custody time. Even though I had a vacation planned that week, I agreed to cut it short so that my daughter could attend. I genuinely want her to feel included. They have made it explicitly clear that she will not be riding with them to any of the wedding events. Instead, they've asked me to arrange her transportation, or left it vague, implying they'll find someone to drive her between multiple venues throughout the weekend. Rehearsal dinner, wedding reception, brunch. Given that this is an adult-only wedding with alcohol present, and knowing that some people involved, including his father, who has a documented history of drinking and unsafe behavior, I have serious concerns about who that someone might be. I do not feel comfortable just handing my daughter off and hoping that whoever drives her is sober and safe. So far, I have not offered to personally drive her all weekend. I have already adjusted my plans to make her attendance possible, but I don't think it's fair or appropriate to be expected to serve as the chauffeur for my ex-husband's wedding. Am I the a-hole? Now for the comments. I mean, do they actually want her there? Or is she just a prop? Is she the only child going? Realistically, might be better if she does the ceremony and skips the reception. Unless you trust her grandparents, I honestly wouldn't take her to the party part of the wedding. Seems sus and frankly dangerous, not the a-hole. Maybe they wanted to be a-hats and make OP cut her vacation short. And yeah, adults only besides one child, and alcohol with people who can't handle alcohol and have a history of abuse? I wouldn't take her. She'd be alone most of the time or interacting with drunk people she probably doesn't know. I was with relatives as a younger child, and they started drinking in the evening. I was so upset because they weren't acting like how I knew them, and asked never to be left like that again at night. They weren't even mean or scary, just not the people I knew and loved. You're worried about someone driving her while under the influence. I wouldn't risk it. There's probably gonna be a crap storm, but her safety is number one. Plus, they're not going to remember the event anyway, it seems. If your ex really wanted his daughter there, then it should be up to him to figure it out. You've already sacrificed enough for that man. I personally wouldn't let her even go to a child-free wedding. A, there won't be any other kids there for her to hang out with. Reasons B through Z, all the family and alcohol shenanigans. If he wanted his daughter there, he would have scheduled it on his weekend. Scheduling it on the other parent's weekend shows he doesn't care one way or the other if she is there, and is likely a power play by him to continue to control the OP. If she refuses to oblige, she's the bad guy, not him. Not the a-hole. If you're concerned about her safety, since it's your custody weekend, I would let them know that you need to know who's driving your daughter to each and every event. And if that is not provided prior to the wedding day, she won't be able to make it. If he wants her there, he should have this all arranged, especially since you changed your plans to accommodate him. You do not need to do any more accommodating. Oh, I love this advice. Last story. Am I the a-hole for not attending a colleague's wedding and telling a little lie as to why I'm not attending? My colleague is getting married in a few months, and she has invited everyone in our team. She and I are the only Gen Z in the office and started around the same time, so we've always been closer to each other than everyone else. But I've always maintained boundaries and kept my personal life separate. The wedding is in her small town. To go, I would have to get time off, fly, then shuttle and pay for accommodation and buy a gift. After the wedding, I am traveling to watch Oasis, and I then going to Japan. I need to save. I figured since I don't really want to go and I need to save my money and we're not that close, it's not worth me spending around $2,000 on this. I didn't tell her I didn't want to go. I just told her I have a lot going on that same week. She said that's okay and that was it. During my lunch break, I went to a cafe and my mom asked if I had told her, and I texted my mom about what happened. I didn't know another colleague was standing behind me reading my messages. When I came back to the office, said colleague had told everyone in our team what I had texted my mom. I told her that was very nosy and rude and none of her business. I apologized to the bride-to-be and told her I can't fork out that much money for her wedding when I have a lot going on in my life. She said it was chill and she gets it and we're good. It's everyone else that thinks I'm wrong for not going. Am I the a-hole? What? $2,000 on a colleague's wedding? Nope. Not the a-hole. And your nosy colleague wants reporting to HR for invasion of privacy and crap stirring. Sounds like the bride is okay with your decision, so what anyone else thinks is entirely irrelevant. Right. I didn't even spend that much on my own wedding, courthouse, let alone on a coworker's. Same. Ours was $750, but $500 of that was for the king suite my dear husband insisted we get for the night. No way in Hades am I spending $2,000 on a work colleague's wedding. Did you lie though? You have a lot going on, so you're not prioritizing her wedding now. Also, I can't believe your colleague read your messages without you noticing. She would have had to be on your shoulder. If you're that oblivious to your surroundings, get a privacy screen for your phone. I had my headphones in and it was peak lunchtime. Heaps of people around, and I assumed it was some finance bro standing very close behind me. Pro life tip: coworkers don't really want you at their wedding. They just want a gift. Honestly, I feel like these types of invitations are just gift grabs. They know you won't go, but that you'll probably send a gift. Happened to me once. Got invited to a baby shower. I didn't know anyone there except the person who invited me. Of course I brought a gift, but I was uncomfortable the whole time. Never heard back from them. Not a thank you, nothing. OP is not the a-hole.